What's up, everybody? You are back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, you've got Coach, you've got Gomez Adams over there. We're hanging out with you. We appreciate you guys coming back in here.
What did you just call me?
Nothing. All right. Yeah, that's Austin over there, aka Gomez Adams, aka A double to the double Whitehead.
Yes,
Hit that subscribe button down below for us real quick, because once we hit 500 subscribers, and for every 500 subscriber benchmark, we're giving away a free jersey. We don't care. You name it, whatever kind of jersey it is, we'll figure it out. We'll get it to you. Let's go ahead. We're going to dive into this right here. We got the quarterback episode for y'all. I know quarterbacks are money. Everybody likes the quarterbacks here. So the boys, going through this, it was... Building this list, I realized real quick, this quarterback class is not like some of the ones we've had.
Last year's quarterback class was prolific.
Not like this one.
It was unlike anything we'd ever seen before, and it wasn't until we really dove deep that we realized just how much talent there was. And honestly, all of us had such a different idea on like who the top 4 or 5 guys were. 1 and 2, we all knew. Austin was going crazy with JJ Love, but then Austin was
JJ
also,
McCarthy.
Yes, he was also super high on Bo Nix, nobody else really was. And then Bo Nix had the season that he had, so like there was just phenomenal. So much talent in the top 5. I think that there's not even.
It's crazy.
Would Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders even be top 5 in this draft if they were in last year's draft class?
Yeah. Cam Ward 100% could be up there. I just love to see that, like, Caleb Williams wasn't like a top 5 quarterback. Like I said, he wouldn't be.
I'm willing to say, if Cam Ward was in last year's draft class, because Caleb Williams went number 1. I believe Cam Ward would have went number 1 instead. And I think Washington would have still taken Jaden Daniels.
Now, I love that take, but I don't agree with that take, if that makes any sense.
Cam Ward's just got that dog that Caleb does not have.
I agree with you on that.
I think Jaden Daniels still should.
But I don't think that.
No, and I agree. I still would have chosen Jaden Daniels over Cam Ward, but because the Bears chose Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels, I feel good in assuming they would have chosen Cam Ward over Jaden Daniels as well.
I feel like New England would have taken Cam Ward at 3, but Shedeur Sanders wouldn't have even cracked the top 15 picks like Bo Nix did.
Well, the Falcons might have looked at him for sure.
Yeah,
I think
the Falcons for sure.
If the Falcons took Michael
with
Penix,
the history there, with
Dion.
I hear that. I
Like,
think Michael
he's
Penix
also
is a better
from
player.
there, I'm pretty sure.
No, there's no way Atlanta and Arthur Blank would have passed on Dion's child had they had the chance to draft him.
Because Dion probably would have gone and coached there. Didn't they get a new coach last year too? Like if
They
he was
needed
coming
one,
out, they probably would have just signed him knowing that they're going to pick him at 6.
Raheem Morris, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. So let's go ahead, Coach. 8 through 6 for you, or 8 through 5. I'm sorry. What do we got?
Quinnen Ewers, Kyle McCord, Riley Leonard, Quinn Ewers.
Okay.
I said Quinnen.
Yeah, you did say Quinnen.
And then Riley Leonard at 6, and then Will Howard at 5. And Will Howard, Riley Leonard, the reason I have them the way I do in the list is honestly because of their rushing upside. This year in the draft, in the championship games, if you didn't have a quarterback that could create on his own, then you weren't in a championship game.
You're done for.
Like the Rams were the last team to even have a quarterback that couldn't create
Vikings,
at all.
Lions.
Well, I'm saying to even like make it as far as they did. Like
yeah, no,
Rams,
I feel you. But like those 3 teams were studly teams and didn't make it past where they needed to because their quarterbacks cannot move.
Yeah, so I feel like it's a necessity at this point in the NFL. I only have, I think, 1 quarterback that's higher up on the list than Will Howard and Riley Leonard that can't really just like create whenever they want to. But I feel like that's why I have those guys there. I know Will Howard has like the best receiving core in football to throw to. And he looked really good, and that's why I don't know. I wanted to have him a little bit higher, honestly. It's just hard because, like, what's he going to do in the NFL whenever he has to throw to, like, fucking Jalen Rager and like things like that are like
Yeah.
their second or third best option.
Not a Michael Jordan receiver in college right now.
Yeah.
Like, dude's on another level.
All right, Austin. 8
My
through
8
5.
through 5, I got Will Howard at 8 because he's a solid quarterback and people aren't giving him the respect. That, you know, when he won that game and they wouldn't even let him up on that stage, that was pretty
That was
disrespectful.
hilarious to me.
It was
Disrespectful.
So disrespectful.
But that was hilarious.
I couldn't believe that.
You tell him, Skyler.
7, I got Garrett Nussmeier, LSU. 6, I got Dalen Gabriel,
Wait,
Oregon.
Nussmeier's going back to LSU, isn't he?
Well, he shouldn't be. He's ready, ain't he? Is he really going back?
Yeah, Nussmeier's
All
going
right,
back.
so that makes it easier. All right. We got Jalen Milroe at 8. All right. Just move everyone else down. We got Jalen Milroe at 8 from Alabama. Then you got Will Howard. Then you got Dylan Gabriel at 6. That's what you
And
wanted.
who-
8
Who's
through
number
6.
5?
And then Quinnen Ewers at 5 from Texas.
You also said Quinnen
Quinnen
Ewers. You know,
Ewers.
Quinnen Ewers would go number 2 in this draft.
It's Quinnen Ewers.
No,
It's
it's Quinn Ewers.
No, it's Quinnen.
Okay. All right. So I got Will Howard at number 8, Jalen Milroe at number 7, Kyle McCord at number 6, and Quinn Ewers at number 5.
That would be one N. There's 2 N's.
There's
bud.
2. No, it's just Quinn though.
Quinn N.
No,
Oh, bro.
it's Quinn.
Oh, man. I can't wait for the comments to come in on that because, oh, man, the educational system has failed
So why do you,
33% of this
why do you
podcast.
have Quinn Ewers so high?
Well, even having him at number 5 for me, to me, I feel like is low just based on the hype on him coming out, like
Yeah.
all the videos on him in the recruiting process before he went to Ohio State and then ended up transferring to Texas. For me, I like him better than Kyle McCord, Jalen Milroe, and Will Howard simply just because to me, he's got more of a moxie to him. I do like his ability to escape the pocket and make plays on the run. He does throw with different arm angles that you like to see, especially in today's day and age. And just overall as a quarterback, to me, he's just the better guy out of those in that bottom part of the list. I honestly was going back and forth between putting Kyle McCord at number 5 because I think the way he plays is going to project really well to the NFL. But I feel solid with Quinn at number 5. And like I said, to me, I still feel like that's low based on just how he was projected throughout college and even coming in.
So Quinn Ewers had one really, really bad game versus Georgia. And didn't he get benched in that game?
Probably was an injury.
Yeah, I think he got benched or had an injury, but he did not play well at all.
My big issue with Quinn Ewers is just that I feel like he's the second best quarterback on his team. And that's rough.
Mhm.
And I get that Arch Manning looks like he might be the next coming. He's going to have
He's
Trevor
okay.
Lawrence levels of like, you know,
My big
opportunity.
thing with
Quinnen Ewers
big
can
thing
sling that
is-
rock.
we always point this out is does the quarterback get better every single season? Like every season that they're a starter, is there progress? And for Quinn, large drop off. Like large drop off. Like
From
you went from an
2023 to
80,
I think all the media and
86.8
shit
grade
got
in
to him. Like,
2023 down to a 72.7 in 2024. His yards were pretty much the same. His touchdowns were up, but his interceptions also doubled.
And his completion percentage went down. And his yards went up by 9 yards.
Like for me, I think he would have been better returning to school. Like he had a bunch of offers through NIL to transfer. Like there was reports of up to $8-10 million
Yeah,
a
I
year,
heard 6 was like a pretty
which is
easy
more
number
than
for
what
him to
he's
hit.
going to make as a rookie in the NFL anyways. To me, for him, I would have went somewhere else.
I mean,
look at it. Look at what he did in that Arizona game, though. Like he's got that special capability. He's got that
that's
moxie.
and that's why
He-
I have him at
he's-
number 5. Like he does show it at times,
Yeah,
but then there's plenty of
flashes
other
it.
times with him to where I'm just like, bro, you should be so much better than what you are. Like he's
100%.
terrible under pressure. Like
Yes,
41.6
yes.
pressure grade. His big time throw rate is less than what Riley Leonard's was, and Riley Leonard was on a run first Notre Dame team. His deep yards is tied for 86, which also I believe is less than Riley Leonard's. Like, so for me, I wasn't Riley Leonard's not in my top 8. So like
That's
there's a
wild.
lot to be
That's wild.
desired with Quinn. But for me, I do still see the talent being there to where I think in the 3rd or 4th round, I wouldn't be mad at a team taking a shot on him.
So moving on. My
top
top 4. So I've got Dylan Gabriel at 4, which I think could be a little bit high. I think that of my top of my top 8, he's the one that can produce with his legs the least. Like he
No,
doesn't.
he can actually scoop.
I don't. He's a little bit undersized. He's got some scoot to him, but like, is he really going to be Josh Allening it whenever
No.
he's within 10 yards?
His comp for me is Tua, and that's not because they're both lefty, tan skin, sleeve tat, all of that. Like his comp for me is Tua because Tua at Bama.
Yeah.
Like not a scrambler, but has the ability to extend the play if needed and is very accurate. Now, I don't know if you guys saw the reports coming out of the Senior Bowl where they measured the quarterback's throw speeds. And it came, now Joe Milton set the record with 62 miles an hour, 63 miles an hour throwing the football. It was reported that Dylan Gabriel threw 74 miles an hour with the football. Yet he was not the person who threw the longest pass, and the longest pass only went for 59.6 yards. So knowing Joe Milton can throw the football 63 miles an hour and also can launch it 80 yards standing flat-footed, how does Dylan Gabriel throwing it that hard not launch that ball 85 yards?
He doesn't have the whip on it. Like he doesn't have the length of his body and like to create the
ball that
trajectory.
Fast, if you can throw the ball that fast, that shows me whip and power, and you should be able, it might not be accurate, but you should be able to launch that bitch. So I'm very skeptical of that report. But
Whip and power is totally different from strength, though. Whip and power is different from strength.
Like, I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like it's the same thing with Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, like these big quarterbacks that have that throw power. They can launch it 75 yards and fit it in a tight window. And when you have that type of throw power, Tua ain't throwing like that.
No, I mean, he does have a decent deep ball that we know of now.
He has an accurate deep ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. But we've all seen if that ball's traveling further than 50, 60 yards in the air, it, dies down, stuff like that. So that's just for me. Like that could be a technique thing. Maybe he's skyballing it like Russell Wilson does, which that's fine. And that's apples to oranges here. Like you don't need your quarterback to throw 80 yards. I was just making a point how those two statistics seemed very off to me. But go ahead.
That's why I like that take.
So, he's the one I think can produce with his legs the least. We just said how important that is, but his ability to throw with his arm is at the top of this class. So I still moved him up over these other guys that I think have a little bit more.
He would have been a lot higher on this list had he not had one bad game in a crucial game against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like
I think what he's shown you with being at Oklahoma and with that Oregon this last year, like what you see with Dylan Gabriel is pretty much what you're getting. Like he's a very solid quarterback, like really good. I think he's going to end up going in about, I'd say late second, early third, if anything. Like very solid guy, but he's also not coming in to be your franchise changer.
So the guy that I think could potentially do that at 3, that a lot of people are very low on, Jackson Dart. I guess nobody's really too low on him. Most people, the consensus is this guy was a dude before the season even started. I think that whenever it comes to like maintaining a balance of being able to throw, being able to run, being able to kind of just like do what you need to do, I really like the way that he like he undercuts the safeties and throws it over the linebackers really well. He's got power that he just drives it into the middle of the field, which I think is it's gonna show in the NFL a lot. That's a very necessary skill set. Honestly, one that I think Cam Ward, who I have at 1, doesn't have as much of. But Cam Ward's poise, his ability to just stand in the pocket and be the guy whenever it's crunch time, I think is the best in the class. That's why I have him at 1. Shedeur Sanders, I think, does some things better than Jackson Dart. I honestly only have him higher up. It's partially because of the name. He's a little bit more poised. It feels like he's just a little bit more like ready all the time. Jackson Dart's nothing to slouch at, but I just think that Shedeur, he's got a lot more of like what you need right now immediately. He doesn't really have to develop too much.
Okay, Austin, 4 through 1.
4 through 1. We got Riley Leonard from Notre Dame at 4. I don't know why you don't like him, Justin. This man can run the rock, just like Josh
The
Allen.
educational system continues to fail us.
Riley
What?
Leonard.
Riley Leonard, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm talking about you having him at
Oh.
number 4. Is the system failing
I
us?
figured that was the other thing you were
Riley
talking
Leonard
about.
went to Wake Forest, Duke, and Notre Dame. I'm not worried about his education. I'm concerned with yours.
Bro, he can run the rock. All right.
Okay.
He's
What else?
good. He can also sling it. We got 3 is Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. Hold it up. Come on now. And 2, we're gonna have Jackson Dart, Ole Miss. Okay.
And Cam Ward, number 1,
And
obviously.
then Cam Ward, the greatest quarterback I've seen in 10 years at number 1.
Wow.
So why
Yeah.
Jackson Dart over Jaden Daniels?
Hold on. Let me give you my 4, and then we'll get into
Yes.
that, Coach.
Yeah.
I have Dylan Gabriel at 4, Shedeur at number 3, Jackson Dart at number 2, myself as well, and Cam Ward at number 1.
So what is it, guys? Like, what is it that you
So-
see from Jackson Dart that you have him? Because
I
the
like-
consensus is Shedeur
This
going
is not.
to.
This is
his
not a
legs.
knock. This is not a knock on Shedeur. This is more of praise for Jackson and what I like about Jackson's game. And I like the fact of he's more mobile than Shedeur is. Shedeur has
100%.
said he prefers to stand in the pocket, read the field, and throw it. All is great in that. But you go back and look at the playoffs this last season, and of the final 8 teams that were there, 6 of them had mobile quarterbacks, with the other 2 being Matt Stafford and Jared Goff. And like, okay, it's Matt Stafford, like, dude's awesome and legit, and then Jared Goff. So for me, that gives him the edge over Shedeur. Not to mention, like, when you're just looking into the metrics on him, tied for 15th in adjusted completion percentage with 77.5, 8th on the big time throw rate with 6.9%, first in his deep yards with 1,500 in that, 11.9 on his average depth of target, like, and 108th in screen yards. So not many of his pass yards came from screens. So of his 4,276 yards, only 232 of those, Gesundheit, came from screens. 29 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. Got better every single season. So for me, like,
He's
I just you look at all of that and you're like, all right, this guy, he's got something that I'm looking at here. Not to mention the attitude that this kid has, and just he's got that Baker Mayfield, like, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna run through your face and just kind of hope I don't get hurt. And if I do, I'm just gonna play through it, like, dog. And so for me, like, I'm not questioning Shedeur's toughness, but to me, he's just what I want to see in the leader of my team. I like what Jackson's shown me versus Shedeur with, yeah, let me flash my watch and let me throw around my NIL money. And, you know, okay, yeah, he's a very giving guy. I've seen the stuff about him giving stuff to his teammates and him giving his teammates cars and stuff like that because he's got it and he gives back. Love that. I love that Deion's instilled that in him. I don't hate that Deion is involved in his life. I don't think it's a Lonzo Ball and LeVar Ball situation.
Yes.
But I don't think it's that at all. But to me, I think there's more that Shadur should have been able to do with him being warranted as potentially a top 3 pick in the draft. Like, you playing in the Big 12 with the Heisman winner on your team, you should have absolutely ran the table and dominated. And you just did not. And I don't want to hear the excuses about your O-line, because your O-line was better this year than it was last year. And your defense was better this year than it was last year.
See, that's part of it for me. 73.4% completion percentage. Whenever
Accurate as
literally
hell.
having to run for his life and getting pummeled all game, every game. I mean, the guy's been sacked and sacked and sacked and sacked. So like, that's why I have him at 2. Is I like him as a pure passer more.
He also has one of the greatest receivers to come into college.
I mean, yeah, but he
To
only
pass-
played
to
on
throw-
like
to throw the ball.
86% of his snaps.
Travis Hunter, to me, is not one of the greatest receivers to come into college. He's one of the greatest players to ever come into
what
the
is
college.
it? Riley Williams for
Ryan Williams for
is it
Alabama.
Ryan? I thought it was Riley.
Yeah,
That
the
dude,
true freshman.
That dude
Jeremiah,
might be one of the greatest receivers to ever
Jeremiah
come.
Smith for Ohio State. Like,
Yeah.
And you look at Shador's. I just rattled off all of what I loved about Jackson, and all of his stats are very comparable, if not better, just right underneath what Jackson Dart's are.
Like
But to me,
adjusted completion percentage, 81.8. That shit's nuts.
accurate as hell. Like,
Fourth
that's
and
what
deep
he's-
yards.
To me, the edge is Jackson's moxie and Jackson's ability to be able to scramble and willingness to use his legs to get the first down if need be.
So let's give you guys a scenario. Picking at the top of this year's draft means that you're basically going to be behind a really shitty offensive line, and you're going to be with a team that does not have a lot. Tennessee, for example, doesn't really have much of a receiving core. They just recently got I can't think of his name right now. Last year that they signed, used to play for Atlanta, and then he got suspended. Calvin Ridley. And now he is an older Calvin Ridley who honestly did not look at all he did was bitch all year about how he wasn't getting the ball enough. So like, DeAndre Hopkins was aging and now he's playing for Kansas City. Like, he's not going to come into a position, Cam Ward that is, of having a lot. And if Shador or Jackson make it all the way down to the Giants, they have at least Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson. There's a couple of guys, but they don't have like this big-bodied number 1 outside winning receiver. Like, Malik Neighbors looks sick, and he's going to be useful. But that's all they have now. They don't have that much of a running game. They have no offensive line. So like, if you needed a guy to be able to just get the best player on the field the ball, would you rather have Shador Sanders or Jackson Dart?
Jackson Dart. And if I want to sell tickets, I'd take Shador Sanders.
Now, and I'm glad you brought up the Titans, because Jackson Dart could come in and very well be Will Levis. Now, I think he's far and beyond better than Will Levis was coming out of Kentucky, but he could very well end up being Will Levis or Zach Wilson. However, he playing in the SEC and playing as well as he did the past 2 seasons and getting better every single year. Like I said, it's not that much of a gap for me for Jackson and Shador. It's just his rushing is what puts the edge for him over that, because where you mentioned you're coming into a bad situation, not the best offensive line, not the best weapons. Well, if I don't have that, I need a quarterback that can make it happen on his own, which is why the Indianapolis Colts selected Anthony Richardson. They had a really good offensive line and still selected somebody that was able to make it on his own.
That's what I see in Jackson Dart as like, and I don't like to give that comp, but I kind of see Anthony Richardson. Like, not too much because he's not the same at running the
Jackson
ball.
Dart? Or in Jalen
Time
Milroe?
this offseason you hear anyone comp Jackson Dart to Anthony Richardson.
And that's what I'm trying to, like, he has that cannon of an arm. He's got the ability to, like, make these throws. He definitely is more than Anthony Richardson, but, like, in that, like, being able to kind of duel both things at the same time with that uber athleticism. Jalen Milroe can't throw the ball. Like, we were saying pre-show, it's never going to happen. It didn't happen for Lamar, but He should change his position.
Wait,
Like,
what did you just say? It never happened for Lamar?
no, Lamar didn't change his position. Everyone was telling him that he should.
Oh,
Jalen
yeah.
Milroe should. Like this dude,
No, and I fully agree. It's
To
no
what? Tight end?
running
wide
back.
receiver, tight end, running back. Give him the fucking
Like, and it's not
fullback.
the typical how Lamar went viral because of Bill Polian saying he should change the running back and how he's a 2, possibly 3-time MVP and all. Like, okay, Lamar has shown it. I don't see Jalen Milroe ever showing it with his passing. Like, the guy cannot hold on to the ball if there's any kind of bad weather. Like, I'm not knocking him as a leader or just as an overall football
He
player.
had a great receiver core. He had Alabama front line to
I
work
think
with.
his talents are going to be wasted at quarterback because you're just going to sit the bench and you're not going to see the field very much unless you're just playing gadget roles. Now, before we jump off and, say goodnight to everybody, I don't want to gloss over Cam Ward because we do have him number 1. Like,
There's
I
a
want us to talk
reason.
real quick about why we like him. Like, this was a guy coming from Incarnate Word, had nothing coming out of high school, no offers or anything like that. The guy goes to Incarnate Word for a couple seasons and then transfers to Washington State and then has a solid season for Washington State standards, 3,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But you saw the playmaking ability there. Then he comes to Miami with just a better team and a better roster. And you saw just the absolute magician that he is. And I'm very hesitant to compare anybody to what is the best quarterback that we've seen in the last decade. But if you're going to compare any quarterback to Pat Mahomes, it's going to be Cam Ward.
The patience.
Like, the patience, the willing to let the play develop, the poise under pressure, like always looking to make a play, which is his biggest knock on him. As a Hurricanes fan, there's so many times to where I'm just screaming, get rid of it, throw it out of bounds, go down, take the sack. Like, and so many times bad plays happen for it. But next drive, he goes down and in 3 plays, he's putting it in the end zone for you because he does not care.
His ability to have
franchise quarterback to me.
His ability to have a very short memory on his mistakes and just to move on and go back and read. He's a true competitor. I think that a lot of people, whenever they think of Cam Ward, they think of that YouTube video of him and Shedeur Sanders doing work together and Cam just chirping, talking shit about how I don't need no water and I got better today. And y'all aren't out here to work. Y'all are out here to chill and relax. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to get better. I'm getting better all the time. That's who he is.
It's like they say, he got it out the mud. Like, he started off literally as low as you can start and just worked his way up and is now becoming a projected number 1 overall pick. And for that just shows absolute dog. And I hate to use that as a cliche at this point, but there's really no other way to describe that. Week 1 versus Florida, the play didn't count, but he rolled out and bought time to his left, turned his body cross-body and zipped it 35 yards into the back of the end zone for an absolute dime. Play didn't count, but it was from that moment I literally told myself I've seen all I need to see. Because there's nobody else in college football I have seen that can make any play close to that.
I can't wait to watch him.
No, it's going to be awesome. I don't know if the Titans take number 1. I'm honestly really excited for our next mock draft.
They'd be stupid not to.
I keep hearing that they want a generational talent. And honestly, Cam Ward is great, and he's definitely the best quarterback. But there's so much
different.
Yeah, he's not a
generational talent is different. You're talking
that might be
Bill
that
Carter.
Penn State.
That's literally what he called himself, though, guys. He literally himself.
You can call yourself generational, but I mean, generational is Andrew Luck. We see this prospect come by once every 20 years.
I'm telling you, this is that guy. I see it.
I still think
I get hype on quarterbacks. I grew up as a quarterback.
If
I
he did
know
not
what
have
good
the
quarterback is.
decision-making questions, he would be. But to me, like I said, his one knock is his best ability. Like, you know, you go
I just
into
think
a
that
job
he
interview,
slows the game down.
What's your worst asset? Oh, I care too much. But like that's what it is with him. Like, what's your worst asset? It's my best asset. It's my playmaking. But he tries to play make too much sometimes, and it gets him into a lot of trouble, which was my number one knock on Caleb Williams last year.
I was going to say, it's the same exact thing with Caleb Williams, and it took him 3/4 of a season to be able to, like, slow things in the NFL
Own
down
that in
enough
a little bit,
to
yeah.
where he could actually make some plays and not just, like, get sacked and be running around on the outside throwing
Yeah,
the ball
because you're
away.
not playing against future realtors and bank investors out there. You're playing against dudes who, like, this is their grind.
Professional.
And it's different. So, I mean, listen, guys, if you're still here with us, we love you. We appreciate you. Subscribe down below. 500 subscribers. Jersey coming to one of y'all. Hell, we might even send out a second jersey just for the fun of it.
Coming soon.
And next week, we're going to go ahead. We're going to give y'all wide receivers next week. You know, we're just going to go down the depth chart here. We're going to give you wide receivers next week. I really like this wide receiver class, especially, you know, in the middle rounds, the meat of it. I think it's going to be fun to dive into that for you guys. So, hey, TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor. Hit them up. Get your tea needs. They also, if you're in the area, they also sell ice cream. It's actually pretty good. Pretty good ice cream. So, hey, we love you guys. Peace out.